Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about what happened last night on Friday Night Smackdown. Well, it was a pretty meh show, as always, but we were promised last week, as I mentioned, by Paul Heyman, that not only would Roman Reigns be in the building, the WWE Universal Champion, undisputed, but The Rock, Roman Reigns' cousin, would also be in the building. And that's just what we got. It was in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, first things first, Roman Reigns comes out, acknowledge me. You know how he does, right? He in the bloodline, talking, insulting the crowd, calling them morons, saying that they're dumbasses in Salt Lake City, talking as they start to chant, "We want Cody, we want Cody," right? And then he goes, "Yeah, Cody, the guy that ruined it all, right? The guy that messed up the greatest WrestleMania main event in history, possibly." But he says, "I want to introduce you to the newest member of the Bloodline, the newest member of this organization, my cousin, The Rock." And then The Rock's music hits, and out comes The Rock. He's dressed in a combination of his heel persona from 2003 and his 1998, 1999 persona of the corporate Rock. Remember when he used to wear those Versace shirts, $500 shirts and shit he would talk about, uh, fancy t-shirt, fancy dress shirts when he was the corporate champion back in 1998. Well, he's back with that again, but in a vest form. So it kind of looks like the leather vest that he used to wear during the Hollywood Rock years and that during the corporate Rock years. So he's a combination of both. And he does his regular shtick. He finally, The Rock has come back to Salt Lake City, and the fans want to cheer along with him. Now they want to cheer him, but he's a heel now, so he's telling them, "Nah, you don't have the privilege to sing along with me. That privilege you lost when you booed me at the press conference." So Roman Reigns, who's the champion, steps aside and lets The Rock talk, and The Rock is in rare form. The Rock is insulting the crowd, calling them fat asses, talking about that they were on their toilet, tweeting, "Cody gotta finish his story. Cody gotta finish his story." The same thing he was saying. He was saying on the Pat McAfee show. He was saying here. He was basically, just berating the fans, talking about what are they going to tell their 30 wives? Their 30 wives. Keep in mind, we're in Utah, a state famous for polygyny or polygyny. Polygyny, bigamy, whatever you want to call it. Right? We're in Utah. So he's getting at that. Then he makes reference to the sports teams. He makes reference, he says, "What story does Cody have to finish? Explain to me exactly what Cody's finishing his story means." He says, "At the Super Bowl last Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the San Francisco 49ers. Did they say they have to finish their story? Did they cry and bitch and moan like losers? No, they stuck it up and they took it like men. Did the Utah Jazz, when Michael Jordan came through in the 90s and crushed their dreams in the NBA Finals, did they bitch? Did they complain? Did they moan? No, they took it like men. Last year at WrestleMania 39, Cody Rhodes took on my cousin Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns beat Cody Rhodes' ass. So Cody Rhodes had his chance, he had his opportunity, and he lost. So he should just get over it, and so should the Cody crybabies. Not, of course, taking into consideration that Solo in kayfabe, Solo Sikoa screwed him out of it. Cody had Roman beat at WrestleMania 39 in LA last year. Were it not for the Bloodline and Solo Sikoa, Cody would be the champion right now. But anyway, The Rock was in rare form, like I said. But something was a little off, and maybe this could be just a little snafu. But you know the bloodline symbol, the one finger that each member of the bloodline holds up? The Rock had his thumb out like this. Okay? His thumb was out like this. It wasn't. It wasn't presented correctly, right, in the way that it should be. So that leads some to believe, like I'm starting to believe, that The Rock is actually setting Roman Reigns up, because this is what I believe is going to happen, folks. There was talk that WrestleMania 41 next year will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't think so. With the ousting of Vince McMahon, with the acquisition by Endeavor in the UFC of the WWE, and with this feud that we have, there's only one place they could do it, and that's the home of the UFC, the home city of the UFC, and that's Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, for those of us like me that are old enough to remember the last time WrestleMania was in Las Vegas, Nevada, in fact, it was the first WrestleMania that I ordered live on pay-per-view. It was in 1993. It was horrible. You know, the setup was kind of cool. It was Greco-Roman, but Bret Hart got screwed out of his opportunity, and so did the 1993 winner of the Royal Rumble, Yokozuna, with the return of Hulk Hogan. But this time, it's different. We saw the ambiance of the press conference. We saw how Las Vegas really came out for professional wrestling. They're so used to doing UFC cards. They've been doing UFC cards forever, since UFC was purchased by Zuffa in 2001. So why not try something with the WWE? It could be cool. So they have to build this thing for a year. And my thing is building it slowly, slowly. You know, that's what made Sting versus Hogan so powerful in 1997, was that they built it slowly. Wood Sting first, they had Sting, the fake Sting, come out, and he joined the NWO, and then they had the War Games, and then the real Sting declares that he was never a member of the NWO, but the NWO still tries to entice him to join, all the way up until Uncensored 97, when he finally declares his allegiance. And even then, you had to bring on J.J. Dillon as the commissioner of WCW, just to get Hogan and Bischoff to sign the contract. So for a whole year, Sting is up in the rafters with Macho Man for a time, chasing Hulk Hogan, pointing the bat at Hulk Hogan, coming out and beating up the entire NWO as the avenger of all the WCW good guys, even though the WCW good guys did not believe in him at first. Another example, 2012. Now, this is a little bit different, because at this time when The Rock came back, he comes back in 2011 as the guest host of WrestleMania after being gone from professional wrestling in the WWE for 7 years, from 2004 to 2011. And he's gone for all that time. Right, he comes back. They put him as the guest host of WrestleMania. He disses Cena a little bit, because he and Cena had some heat back when Cena dissed him in 2008, talking about he never pays homage to his heritage. And then he came back and he dissed Cena a little bit at the Hall of Fame when he inducted his father and his grandfather. But they didn't really have a whole lot of beef until The Rock interfered on The Miz's behalf, and The Miz retained at WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta. So then they announced the match the next night on Raw, and for a year they build with insults. For a year they build with just promos. Neither one of them gets into the ring until the Survivor Series of that year, when The Rock and John Cena team up. And then The Rock and John Cena take on R-Truth and The Miz, Awesome Truth, at Survivor Series 2011 in Madison Square Garden. Okay, I wasn't there. I know I was there for a lot of Madison Square Garden shows throughout the years, my fandom, but I was not there for this one. I wish I would have been because the crowd went crazy when CM Punk beat Alberto Del Rio that year. You know what I mean? And started his reign of Punk's dominance that The Rock eventually ended in 2013 at the Royal Rumble. But anyway, the point is, Cena and The Rock built for a year up until their main event at WrestleMania 28 in Miami. And that was a hell of a build. Another example of a hell of a build before Sting and Hogan in 97 and before The Rock and Cena in 2012. The best example that I could think of in WWE history anyway, because you could go back to the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs in the early 80s. That was also a year-long build. But in WWE's history is 1988-89, the Mega Powers. Okay, here you have Randy Macho Man Savage, right? His match with Ricky Steamboat is so good that it actually turns Randy Savage into a babyface. And that causes the Hart Foundation and the Honky Tonk Man, both managed by Jimmy Hart at that time, to attack Randy Savage. They're attacking Randy Savage, and Honky Tonk Man is about to blast the guitar at Randy Savage's face. And what does Elizabeth do? She goes to the back. She gets Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan then helps Randy Savage. And then they have the iconic handshake. Remember this handshake? And they lean in, and they then become a mega tag team. They become the best tag team in the WWE at that time, to the point where WrestleMania 4, at the end of the tournament, Hulk Hogan even stops Andre the Giant from interfering and helping Ted DiBiase to win the vacated WWF Championship. Now Hulk Hogan has helped Randy Savage win his first WWF Championship. Randy hoists Elizabeth on his shoulder. Hogan's pointing at them, and they're a tag team. They go on to SummerSlam, and they, the Mega Powers, take on the Mega Bucks. And at this juncture, Miss Elizabeth is dressed in the red and yellow dress, and she shows her ass a little bit, and she distracts Ted DiBiase. It was Billy Racy for 1988, right? She distracts the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, enabling the Mega Powers to win the championship. Then they get into the feud with Slick's guys, the Big Boss Man and Akeem. And it was here. And at that SummerSlam, as they're celebrating, as the Mega Powers are celebrating, Hulk Hogan slightly puts his hand on Miss Elizabeth's ass. And he touches Miss Elizabeth in such a way that Randy Savage would consider it inappropriate. So then they get into the feud, like I said, with Slick's guys, Miss Elizabeth, Big Boss Man and Akeem. And they have the tag team match. And what happens? Miss Elizabeth gets knocked off the apron. So now Hulk Hogan, carrying Miss Elizabeth, goes to the backstage area, medical facility, and he tries to help Miss Elizabeth, leaving Macho Man all alone to get defeated by the Twin Towers. Now Macho Man is upset, and finally he cracks, and finally he just like with Sting, it's Uncensored 97, he finally declares his allegiance, build over, he attacks Hulk Hogan from behind, and he cuts that infamous promo that has now become a meme, where he says, Hulk Hogan, you lusted after Elizabeth. You had lust in your eyes, Hulk Hogan. All you could do was grandstanding and hot dogging, Hulk Hogan. I didn't need you out there grandstanding and hot dogging. I was good all by myself, Hulk Hogan. And then the Mega Powers exploded, WrestleMania 5. That's another example of a year-long build. Sometimes it goes longer than that, but most of the time, That's all you really need. So that's basically what they're doing now. They're taking it out of that playbook. Just like with Rock and Cena, first they're going to be a team. Just like with Hogan and Sting, Sting actually did join the NWO right before Uncensored. You can see Sting, Steve Borden, coming out with the Macho Man and with the rest of the NWO when they did their spring break episode, or the same episode where Piper aligns with the Four Horsemen and kicks his team out. Same thing with the Mega Powers. They aligned first and then they became enemies. So same thing with this. The setup for this is that The Rock and Roman Reigns will take on Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, because on Raw, Seth Rollins basically said that Cody has to finish his story. That there is nobody out there that can shield, check the quotes, Roman Reigns from the wrath, shield Cody Rhodes from the wrath of Roman Reigns. Shield, keyword. I can shield you from the wrath of Roman Reigns. And Cody accepts. Now, what I was thinking here, Cody Rhodes is the son of who? Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes, twice in Dusty Rhodes' career, once by Ole Anderson and another time by the Four Horsemen, he was betrayed. They locked him in a cage and they broke his leg in 1985, and that's when the Four Horsemen formed, right? And that another time in the last battle for Atlanta with, like I said, Ole Anderson, just himself. But what it reminded me of, and I'm not saying that Seth Rollins is going to turn heel. You know what I mean? He might turn heel on Cody Rhodes and setting up him and Cody Rhodes next year. I doubt it though, because what I would like to see next year is, if he's better, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. That to me is money. But if CM Punk, maybe he'll be an announcer, he'll just work behind the scenes or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. You know, only time will tell. But this kind of reminded me of Halloween Havoc 1995. I know people, like I said, going to point to Dusty taking on the Russians, and all of a sudden the Horsemen lock him in a cage and they break his leg and they turn on and they turn on him, and that's when Flair turns heel and forms the Horsemen. No, I point to another Flair heel turn on Sting, and another reformation, the 1995 edition of the Four Horsemen. Here's what basically happens. Ric Flair, Vader, and Arn Anderson had been a unit. Ric Flair come out of retirement. He lost the retirement match to Halloween Havoc before with Hulk Hogan in Detroit. He was forced to retire. He took off a couple of months. Now Vader's having the leather strap match with Hulk Hogan at Uncensored 95. Flair comes dressed as a woman just to get in, because he was the stipulation. WCW Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel banned him from the arena. He dresses as a woman, sneaks in, and he actually loses the match because it's him that Hogan drags around and not Vader to end their leather strap match that night. So now he's becoming Vader's manager and sometimes tag team partner. They have a match at Slamboree 95, the two of them. Vader and Ric Flair against Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. Vader and Ric Flair beat up the Macho Man's father, Angelo Poffo, who went into the Hall of Fame that year. And then they get Arn Anderson to join them. So Arn Anderson now and Vader and Ric Flair are a team. But after Bash at the Beach, 1995, Vader failing to defeat Hulk Hogan in a steel cage match, Flair and Arn Anderson come out. They start berating Vader, and then Vader turns babyface. So they go into the next month's Clash of Champions in a handicap match Arn Anderson and Ric Flair against Vader, and they failed to defeat Vader, and all of a sudden they break up now, and we're heading into Fall Brawl 94. Fall Brawl 95 with Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson. So they had that match. It's a semi-competitive match until Brian Pillman interferes. Brian Pillman helps Arn. Then now Brian Pillman and Arn are a tag team, but Flair needs a tag team partner to go against them. So who does he call on? Sting. He's constantly begging Sting to be his partner, begging Sting to be his partner. Be my partner, be my partner, be my partner. So finally, Sting gives in like a dumbass. I don't know why, but Sting gives in, and Sting becomes the partner of Ric Flair. Flair gets injured in the back jump by Pillman and Anderson. Sting is wrestling the whole match. Then Flair comes out in a flurry. He's in dress pants. He's beating everybody up. And then he turns on Sting and reforms the Four Horsemen. And you're like, damn, Sting should have seen it coming all along. But he didn't. And there could be a situation like this. Cody Rhodes should have seen it coming all along. He and Seth Rollins have heat. Seth Rollins beat him several times, including when he returned at WrestleMania 38 in 2022, including when he took him out Hell in a Cell 2022 with the pectoral injury. They have heat. And plus, kayfabe-wise, Seth was pleading with Cody to accept his World Heavyweight Championship to be on par with the WWE Championship, and he said no. So Seth still has some kind of animosity between he and Cody. Now, another thing that could happen, another possibility. I take you back to WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania 14. Up until that point, there had been dissension between the members. The Rock was then a member of the Nation of Domination. There have been dissension between the members of the Nation of Domination. And WWE wanted to turn Farouk a babyface. Because at WrestleMania 14, Ken Shamrock had The Rock in an ankle lock. Farouk went down to go help him, and then he turned back. Right? Because all of a sudden, Farouk had invited The Rock to be a member of the Nation of Domination, but The Rock's personality, The Rock's persona was overtaking Farouk. So what does he do? He then the night after the Raw after WrestleMania 14 kicks Farouk out of the Nation of Domination, and he becomes the leader of the Nation of Domination. That could happen here. Somehow he could double cross Roman Reigns, and he is the high chief of the Bloodline, becomes the leader of the Bloodline. Even Roman Reigns and even even Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman could turn and become members, allies with The Rock. Because Paul Heyman has done this before. I take you back to the Royal Rumble 2022 when he double-crossed Brock Lesnar, right? Or I take you back to a time when he double-crossed Brock Lesnar way back in 2002. And he sided with the Big Show. So Paul Heyman has done this before. Hell, he had The Undertaker double-cross Paul Bearer in 2004 and bury him alive at the Great American Bash. So there's precedent for this kind of thing with regards to Paul Heyman, with regards to the Bloodline, with regards to The Rock doing this. So I would like to see The Rock remain heel, go into the match with Roman Reigns as a heel. Maybe 4 years, it's time to finally turn Roman. It's fine. Only The Rock can turn him. You know what I mean? That's a possibility. But we have to wait and see. But for now, the main event of night one is The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And of course, night two is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes one-on-one. Now, as far as the World Heavyweight Championship, we have to see about Elimination Chamber in Australia, who's going to win. But it's pretty clear to me that Drew McIntyre is going to win the Elimination Chamber and go on to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, which is cool with me. But I don't know if maybe, hey, Damian Priest could do to Seth Rollins. If Seth Rollins retains, Damian Priest could do to Seth Rollins what Seth Rollins did to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31 in 2015 by cashing in his Money in the Bank and finally taking it all. We got to see what happens. And as far as the women, obviously Bayley is taking on Io Sky. And as far as the other women's championship that Rhea Ripley holds, I think they're leading to a Becky Lynch match. More than likely. I mean, I would love to see Bianca Belair, but Bianca Belair to me should take on Jade Cargill. I said that way back in the Royal Rumble. The tag team champions, ships, I don't know if they'll do anything with that. Some people are saying that, there was a segment where R-Truth called up Miz on the phone, and that Awesome Truth will reunite, and Awesome Truth will take on Finn Balor and Damian Priest the Judgment Day for the tag team championships. Jey Uso is probably going to take on Gunther. It's a shame we're not going to get a hard-hitting match between Brock Lesnar and Gunther, but it is what it is, considering the circumstances. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. WrestleMania is shaping up to be a pretty stacked card, given that no injuries happen between now and then. We will see a good one. Triple H, they got to involve him somehow. We know Triple H can't wrestle. We know Triple H is now going by Paul Levesque. Paul Triple H Levesque. He's not just going by Triple H anymore. He's trying. But coming out of WrestleMania, I would love to see The Rock remain heel. We need that heel authority figure. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. They do their best, when, like, for example, they come on there and try to. They try to sign Braun Breaker. And one of the things I heard, too, that they're trying to move Paul Heyman away from Roman Reigns with the eventual breakup of the Bloodline and trying to move him towards Braun Breaker. Because they feel like as Braun Breaker moves to the main roster, he's going to need it. But we got to wait and see, guys. WWE is really exciting. I'm more excited for WWE than I've been in a very long time. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment. And there's other things going on in wrestling as well. The firing of Scott D'Amore by TNA. Dave Meltzer is reporting that they're bringing in Tommy Dreamer as the head of TNA Creative, but somebody said that's not true, that they're just going to have the people from Anthem just run it or whatever. In AEW, Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné, hasn't made her debut yet, but they're still talking about it. They'll continue to talk about it until the day Mercedes steps in, but they need it. They need something big. They need Mercedes to finally make her debut on AEW. So a lot of exciting things are happening in the world of professional wrestling. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see my next video is coming out. Love you guys.